Sometimes when an argument doesn't include you, you might just want to stay out of it. You know what I'm saying? It feels like to me that's what oftentimes happens on the Real Housewives of Potomac. And when you do that, you're going to catch a stray. You know what I'm saying? Because now you have involved yourself in the melee. And that's a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I got to go ahead and give you the disclaimer. Number one, this is a spoiler video because clips have been released. I will place the links for the clips down in the description down below so that you guys can watch them for yourselves and see what I see. So we're going to talk a little bit about some things that are going to happen in the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion part 2 in this video, and we got some news about Kim. So let's get into the tea. All right. You've already got the spoiler alert. Now you're going to get the alleged alert. Let's get into it. All right. So in this clip, we're going to be discussing first, Mia has decided to insert herself in the drama with Gizelle and Candiace, and she gets the good old shut up. Now, in this clip, you see Candiace is continuing from last week where she is telling Giselle that her dwindling uterus was waiting to put this information out about Chris Bassett on television. So she then goes on to say, you sat on Karen's couch, you sat with Robin, and you said that Chris did these things that made you feel uncomfortable. We to this day are still waiting to hear what it was that he did that made you feel uncomfortable. And so, as Giselle is trying to explain whatever she was trying to do, Andy says, was it the fact that you were in the room with him by yourself that made you uncomfortable? Or was it that he did something to make you feel uncomfortable? So Giselle says it was that he was in the room with her alone that made her feel uncomfortable. Not really going back to, again, what she said about him outside of that back in the actual season. And so she says she feels like this is a game of semantics. And Candace is like, yes. And you knew that this wordplay would be what would take this story over the top, essentially. You knew that this play on words would be used to essentially malign her husband. And at that point, Mia decides that she, is going to kind of come to Giselle's defense. Now, Mia, to her credit, I believe, was trying to say, well, perhaps your husband could have apologized for making for what she says is different from what Giselle is saying, because what Mia is saying, well, maybe your husband could have apologized for doing something inappropriate. And even Giselle has to step in and say, no, it wasn't that what he did was inappropriate. I was uncomfortable being in the room. So all of this is just, and again, at this point, Candace has to tell her to basically shut up, because that's not the issue. Again, this is always the case. I feel like Robin is guilty of this a lot of times. Is sort of interjecting and interceding for Giselle when it would be better if she just stood up for herself. You know what I'm saying? Let her say what she got to say. It was really nobody but Candice and Andy asking Giselle the questions that deserve to be asked. You know what I'm saying? So that is an interesting clip that I want you guys to watch. The second thing that I want you guys to watch is Andy is asking Ashley about Miss Deborah, okay? And the camera basically showing Chris being nothing but polite to her and kind of nonchalant, to be honest with you. Their whole conversation is, shown from the perspective of what the cameras caught. And Andy asked her about it, and Ashley's like, well, yeah, the camera didn't show that, but apparently Deborah maintains that editing cut out everything else that he allegedly said. Deborah. Now, I firmly at 100% believe that if there had been more that had been stated, I mean, what was he doing? Whispering to you sweet nothings or something like that? So much so that they didn't catch it. And when the people got the mics around, if they be whispering, they gonna catch it and they gonna play it in that whisper voice. You know what I'm saying? So Andy then goes into Miss Deborah talking about Happy Eddie doing a little smile and flirtation. And Wendy makes a very solid point when she confronts Ashley about this. She basically says, look, it seems to me like the men on the show, the husbands, can't even respond to some of the other women and be polite and be gentlemen for fear that it will turn into something else, something sinister and nefarious. You know what I'm saying? And she's absolutely 100% correct in this situation. I mean, just because he smiled at her and was polite, that is now turning into frustration. Maybe perhaps he just should never say anything to the women ever again. That would solve the problem. But I want to point to you guys something else. Now, I ain't calling Miss Deborah a liar, but what I am saying is that the camera does not substantiate her claims. But when we do talk about lying, I did notice something interesting yesterday. So our friends over at TV Deets had posted a clip of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3 in Thailand. Of course, featuring Candiace, Giselle, Portia, Heather Gay, Leah McSweeney, Whitney Rose, as well as Alexia and Marisol from Miami. Now, TVD's posted some of the feuds. Of course, we have Heather versus Whitney, Marisol versus Alexia, Leah versus Portia, Candace versus Giselle. It's about to be that show. But in the clip, they posted what I thought was interesting were subtitles. And so in one of the clips, you see Candace and Giselle arguing, and it sounded like, I don't know if they were arguing about Ashley or if they were arguing about the Monique situation. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that Giselle confronts her and says, because you're acting like I didn't lie for you. And it got me to thinking, well, what did you lie about? Okay. I mean, I guess we got to wait a couple of weeks to get this bit of information, but I'm like, what did you lie? Now, again, if this soundbite has been captioned incorrectly, I mean, I'm open to that, but based on when I was analyzing, okay, because I was like, let's get into this because we can see what they're saying. And when the caption said this, I was like, lie about what? Now, what did you lie about? What did you lie about? And you guys can go to the page and see it for yourself because I'm gonna put the link in the description down below so you guys can tell me for yourself what you think. But I'm like, now what is Giselle saying that she lied about? That is curious to me. Y'all know we like to analyze, speculate, and all that good stuff around here. So let me know in the chatterization what you guys think. Now, the final thing is not a spoiler, but some actual good news. Not alleged either. Radar Online, all of the media outlets had reported this yesterday afternoon. I even reported on it on my Instagram, doing a little praise dance because great news for Kim Zolciak. There is no more foreclosure auction on her Georgia mansion. It has been called off, okay? So apparently, it won't hit the auction block next month, okay? The law office of Brock and Scott PLLC said the foreclosure auction was canceled on Wednesday, but did not explain why. The law office also confirmed that no new date was scheduled. Now, listen, that does not mean that the information out there was not true, okay? Because there was a notice from Truist Bank that had been published earlier in the month. The documents basically stated that they hired a law firm and began foreclosure proceedings last August based on a 1.65 million mortgage that she had received in 2013. So this had definitely been an ongoing thing. It wasn't like the outlets were lying about this, but what is true is that the foreclosure is no more. So congratulations to Kim. This is great. I mean, as we talked about earlier, nobody wants to see this lady, put out of her home. She's got kids and all that kind of stuff like that. So when there is good news to talk about, we will celebrate it as well, right? That's what we do. So anyway, let me know what you guys are thinking about the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion part 2. Are you excited about it? Do you guys think that we'll finally get some resolution? Also, let me know what you thought about that clip from the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. What would Giselle have been lying about? And then also, chime in with your congratulations for Miss Kim Zolciak in this house. All right. With that being said, we will catch you guys in the next video.